Okay, so I'm going to open the meeting. Pardon me, I'm going to be looking down because I just have to read a couple of things here into the record. Welcome, everybody. Nice to see you. As chairman of the Albemarle County Board of Zoning Appeals, I call the meeting for July 6th, 2021 to order. This is an electronic meeting. This meeting is being held pursuant to and in compliance with the ordinance number 20-A (16), an ordinance to ensure the continuity of government during the COVID-19 disaster. The BZA members who are electronically present at this meeting are, and I just ask the members to just state their name, just to let us know that you're here and for the record for establishing a quorum. So I'll go first. My name is John Shepard.
My name is Bo Carrington.
My name is Kurt Burkhardt.
My name is Ed Robb.
My name is Marcia Joseph.
Thank you very much. The opportunities for the public to access and participate in the electronic meeting are posted on the Albemarle County website, on the Board of Zoning Appeals homepage, and on the Albemarle County calendar. Participation will include the opportunity to comment on those matters for which comments from the public will be received. And with that, I want to just note that I've established a quorum. All the members are here. And we have identified ourselves. So people here are Ms. Joseph, Mr. Robb, Mr. Carrington, Mr. Burkhardt, and myself, Mr. Shepard. Want everyone to know there are no public hearings today. And with that, I want to just sail in. Well, the first thing I want to do, just step off my script for a moment here. And for the record, welcome Kurt Burkhardt here, our new member. I think I speak for all of us to say we appreciate your applying for the job. And I'm glad that you were appointed to the position. Every new person brings a new perspective, and it's always a good thing. So we welcome you here, look forward to working with you. And we're going to have some adventures together to boot. I look forward to that as well. So with that, I want to just step into the minutes, and this is just the approval of the minutes from the May 4th meeting. Are there any comments about them?
I have a comment that I will be abstaining. This is Ed Robb. I will be abstaining because I was absent.
Okay, fair enough. I have one quick comment. I'm not here to discuss these minutes. We will really discuss them in a minute. We'll discuss the minutes in a minute. But for these minutes, I would like to add the actual names of the members who were present. I think that's actually, I sort of got that idea from reading comments from Andy, with my understanding that minutes have certain minimum requirements, and one is to state the members who are present. So I would like to just add the names to that.
Mr. Chairman, since I wasn't appointed to this board at the time of this meeting, I also abstain.
Okay, understood. Yes, Bart?
So at the top of the minutes, it shows who was here, and it notes that Mr. Robb was absent. So I'm just verifying that that's sufficient.
Well, that being the case, that is sufficient. I get ahead of myself sometimes. If it's on the page, it's on the page, and I'm happy to see it.
Okay. Yeah.
So I can withdraw my nitpick.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So, any more comments? Those in favor of accepting the minutes with appreciation to Beth Goldman?
Someone has to move the approval first, yes?
Oh,
Yes, we need a motion.
sorry.
I move we approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I second.
All right. All in favor of approval of the minutes? Aye.
Aye.
So that's 3 ayes. Those abstaining?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Rob? Okay. So the minutes passed. That's a quorum, but with the three votes in the affirmative. So that's good. And thanks to Beth for that. I want to come back to our topic from last month about the new format for the minutes. The idea was, we talked at length about reducing them to moving sort of away from something that was close to verbatim to something more limited that captures the minimum requirements for minutes, and also certainly records decisions, votes, and so forth. And we had asked staff to work with Beth Golden, who transcribes the minutes, to follow the format that the Architectural Review Board uses, which we thought was succinct, captured the essence of the meeting, made it very clear by eliminating things that probably weren't necessary. So these minutes that we were looking at reflected that effort. I personally thought you did a good job. Have a few comments for the discussion, but wonder what other people thought as well. Any comments? So I have just a couple of things that I'd want to say about it. I thought Beth did a good job of catching the meeting. It was pretty simple because there wasn't a hearing involved in it, so there was sort of less at stake, but I thought it was covered well. I think in the future, I will tell you, I'm going to make an effort to clarify the discussions at the end so that we can make as clear as possible our decision and the basis for it, and if possible, the basis for objections or contrary votes if there's not a consensus. And all I would say about that is it's certainly not a requirement. That's nothing that we can require. But I think if we're going to hone down the minutes, that we should make the actions as clear as possible. That will all play itself out as we just move forward. And I would also point out that nothing is set in concrete right now, because every set of minutes we have the opportunity to review and seek changes to, so that in the end, any minutes that we approve will be something that we all agree on. So it's not like we're turning it completely over to staff. We're still going to have control over our minutes, so I feel confident about that. So from my standpoint, it's Marcia, I thank you for really making this an issue. I appreciate the staff. I mean, I know Bart and Marcia had a lot of talk back and forth with Ms. Golden to make this happen. And I know, Andy, you were also keeping an eye out to make sure that even if we're reducing the volume of the minutes, that we're still hitting the requirements. So I just appreciate everybody sort of getting on the same page with that. And I think it's going to be a good step in the right direction for our processes.
Can I jump in for just a minute here, John?
Do.
Thank you. Bart, I want to ask you, one of the things I thought was incredibly effective was having Francis, and I don't see him here today, but Francis, our deputy zoning administrator, was actually typing on the screen for us when we did the conditions of approval or the approval itself, and designating why it had been approved or not approved. And that was incredibly helpful because they were words that we could all look at and all agree to simultaneously, instead of sort of words in the air that were written down later in the minutes. So I'm hoping that we're going to continue with that process. Mr. Svoboda, yes, no?
Yeah,
What?
Yep, so we will do our best that if we adjust the motions, that we kind of do it in real time. And so
Yeah.
that takes a little bit of reconfiguring of the PowerPoint when we get to that point. If we're not agreed on it, that would be fine. And kind of to Mr. Shepherd's point, to ease finding the whys, if we state our whys during the motion. So if I was on the BZA and I wanted to approve something, I would say because it meets this criteria.
Radio. Right.
Yeah. The next voter could say, I agree with those reasons, could state their own reasons or other reasons for opposite point of view. So if we have those at the end, I think it will also help kind of consolidate those conclusions, both in reviewing the minutes when we're finished, but also in clarifying any wordsmithing that we'd have to do during the meeting in that real time.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep, I appreciate that also. More on this topic?
I'm just curious, what has been the allocation of time for Marcia or others to compile these minutes in the past? Just curious about the time element.
Currently, we actually send them out. So they take a recording of, we record the meeting, and then we send that to the transcriptionist, who then turns them in the minutes for us. There's been various versions, and we've been probably doing this for a little over a year. Before it read like a big, long, lengthy book with no page numbers, no references on the side column. What you see now is kind of the final product, which works well if there's changes. You can go page 2, line 37, and here's where I see that, rather than having folks kind of fumble through. We do kind of summary minutes. If there was something that would go to court, appealed by an applicant or other aggrieved party, then at that time is when they would request, or we or court would request verbatim minutes, and then the transcriptionist would go back through. And sometimes we know that right away, that we know that that's going to happen. So rather than do 2 sets, we would actually do a verbatim right away. But, I think moving forward, I think we're pretty well set, and I think the summary ones will do us good. Our review time, I would have to lean on Marcia, but we haven't really been tracking that in-house. We've just been kind of getting it done. We know that it would take a whole day for her at least to go through the tape and check it between interruptions and things. So just from a workload perspective, it's more efficient with our resources, and more effective to send it to the transcriptionist. Hope that answers your question.
Yep.
Also, another way to measure them, past a meeting that would take, I'm just throwing it out there, maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours that would cover a hearing, could result in minutes of 40 to 50 pages, somewhere in that order. And a lot of them would have, starting with me, people sort of working out their thoughts. So there's a lot of words that weren't really on point by the end of the meeting, and a lot to wade through. It's a forest and trees thing. We're trying to, get rid of some of the forest so we can actually see the trees in the meeting, because they were long and hard to dig out the important points. I wish you'd see, you would appreciate the improvement if you had seen, like, waded through some of those things, particularly when it came to, in the recent past, we two of our actions were appealed to the circuit court, which meant compiling the minutes from several meetings, and it was a voluminous pile of paper. How many, Marcia, wasn't 903? Does that ring a bell?
You're exaggerating a wee bit. It was 592, something like that.
There was a 9 in there, however.
It was a 9, but it wasn't the first number.
Some other big number I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
And it took a lot to whittle that down into telling a succinct but complete story. And that was, I think, there was a lot of motivation from that. I think is sort of behind this idea now. Anyway, I'm happy with this. Hope others are too.
You know,
John, could I ask a question?
Yes,
If these cases go to court, the meetings are being recorded, is that correct?
yes,
If these cases go to court, the best evidence rule would apply. And I suggest that the actual recordings, not there may be transcripts, but the actual recordings would probably, Andy may correct me on this, the actual recordings would be the evidence.
The parties to the case could submit whatever evidence they wanted to of the proceedings. My sense is that a judge would probably prefer a transcript because a transcript would be quicker for the judge to read and go back to rather than an audio or video recording.
Yeah, that's correct. But if it was and I don't know if it has any bearing on the decision today, but if it was a transcript, it would be agreed that transcript rightly and established the facts that were presented by the recording of the meeting. It would have to be stipulated that you could use a transcript.
Yes, there would need to be an agreement that the written transcript was an authoritative and authentic and correct recording of the meeting itself. There would need to be that stipulation before that transcript could be entered into evidence.
That's correct. That's correct. But an attorney for one of the sides that's involved in the case could say, well, I don't agree with that transcript. I think there's some errors in it. And so I insist that we go by the recording. The recording is the evidence. Is that correct?
Well, again, that would be for the parties and for the judge ultimately to decide whether to accept a written transcript or whether to insist on having an audio or video recording.
Yes, and the judge could decide that they want the recording rather.
And that would be up for the parties of that case to decide. Just as a refresher, the BZA is actually not a party to the litigation beyond just preparing the record.
I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting that the evidence is the recording itself, not anything else. The best evidence. Maybe I'm just too much involved in criminal cases, but the best evidence would be the recording. Now,
it would be up for the court to decide in a case what evidence to accept and not to accept. So
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that.
and certainly our efforts here to reduce the volume of our minutes is done with full recognition that the meeting is recorded and every syllable is available for study if others want to find that.
No, that's correct, Mr. Chairman. I'm not disagreeing with that either. I think a statement was made, unless I misheard it, that statement was made that the minutes were significant, and they are. But I just point out the most significant is not the minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Correct, Andy?
and again, I hate to keep repeating myself, but that would be for a judge to decide, and it's good.
I know that. It would be for the
say is it's good that we've got.
I understand that.
Yeah.
No question. No question.
I take your point, Ed, is that that's like the recording is the source material, and anything that's written after that's is kind of derivative. So the recordings are very important.
Exactly. And that was my point.
All right. Good point. Thank you for that.
It may have taken a while, but that was my point. Thank
Yeah.
you for your patience.
Good point it is. Further topic, discussion on that. So I think we're just moving ahead with this new format. We'll get some, this is going to be refined with time, but I feel like this is a good process improvement and pretty encouraged about it. And again, because I know Beth is going to hear this. Beth, thank you very much for boiling this down. I know it's harder to make choices about what you're typing than to just type every word that you hear. It requires more judgment and effort of a different sort. And I appreciate the effort that's going into this project here. Okay. Anything further on that? I don't see where there's any action required on our part.
No, I think we're good.
Okay. So that's that. I understand. Are we going to hear a cybersecurity update?
So our site, yep, I can give you that. We've talked with IT, and based on kind of policy and vulnerability, I'm going to kind of summarize a couple dozen emails back and forth, is that because we're not using the Albemarle County email, the albemarle.org email, and that access will mostly be limited to what's kind of posted on the agenda, right? So we're still reviewing whether or not the private BZA page will remain, but all the information that you all receive is already, you'll still get your email packets and those things. All the information that you receive is the same as what's posted on the web, with the exception of a few things, which is very rare. Like if there's any materials for an executive session, for instance. Other than that, everything is public information. So with that being more of a public access, at this point, you guys aren't subject to the, what's the name of it? The Know Before training, that cybersecurity training. So that will, if you got any questions about that, let me know. But basically, in a nutshell, that's what that means, is that we're going to work the access out so it remains in that realm of what IT considers safe space, and you don't get access into the server where the vulnerability comes from, which is why you got to do the training. So we're going to work that out and keep you off of the before you know, or Know Before training. That clears mud now.
No, that's hooray. Thank you. Because they kept sending me something and I kept thinking, why do I have to do this? And I couldn't get, so I did call Gus Colomb because I thought I really need to figure out what's going on here and explain to him that this is my own computer.
Right.
And I guess what I was worried about is that cross-contamination from the hundreds of people that work within the county contaminating my computer, because
Right.
I do that all by myself. I don't need help. So I just, so
Yeah.
anyway, so I'm happy, very happy to hear that. So thank you for pursuing.
Yeah, and I, apologize for the confusion with all the cyber attacks that are kind of going on. We have a little bit of sensitivity to that particular issue, so we're trying to make sure everything's nice and tight. So I appreciate your understanding.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bart.
Yes,
Chairman,
sir.
question related to that subject. Did everybody take that annual training course that related to cybersecurity? Did anybody take it?
I don't think I did.
I did. I did.
It was sent out to me.
Yep.
And I took it, but it comes from outside. It's the course, which I think was really pretty good. And we've done it 2 years in a row. And I'm surprised that Bo, you did it? You didn't do it? Bart did it.
I did it.
I wasn't, I was to understand that everybody was doing it. You had to do it. It was a requirement of the county to take that course. I thought, well, okay, that's good. I'll take it. But the course came from outside.
Yes.
Like you typically. So I said, well, this is kind of strange. We're getting a course on cybersecurity from an organization outside the county. And it says it's coming from us. But so are you telling me, John, you didn't take it?
As I recall, I had a little difficulty getting into it, and then I believe Marcia Alley followed up with a message that it wasn't necessary for us to take it at that point. I'm a little vague about that. I would like to have a more solid answer for you, but I don't think I did.
Well, I don't want to think that I made a mistake and did the wrong thing by taking the course. But Bart, you took it.
Yes, I took it.
Yeah,
Probably
Bart-
either
Bart
way,
works
it's either way, it's helpful. Right.
It
It's an informative thing, but from this point forward, it unless something else changes, it won't be required anymore for the BZA to take it.
Well, I'm glad I took it. I would recommend that everybody takes the course. It gives you some really good insight and good opportunity to learn about cybersecurity, provided it's in fact a legitimate organization and a legitimate course, that it isn't some sort of scam and that's what I was concerned about. But
Right.
But
and I'm still concerned. But Bart says it's okay. What about it?
Marcia,
Marcia,
a good point, but
Marcia,
may I,
So I
What do you
spoke
say?
with IT, and Know Before is a company that they contract with to provide that kind of training annually. So Mr. Rob, your having completed that training is not an issue, and you can find that it's helpful for just personal use as well. It's just specifically set up for our local government protocol and policies that they want to train us on. Having taken it is not an issue for you. It was not a scam. It will actually, like you said, it's good information. That is a company that is an external source, and they do contract with them. So you're fine to have taken it. However, our conversation with IT they have come to a place where, in looking at the profiles for BZA members, they have removed the Albemarle.org association with those email addresses that now will not require that you take that anymore.
Well, I don't mind taking it. It's like, because I just wanted to make sure it's legit. And
Yeah, it was legit, but you will likely not even get that email again.
But I got, I kept getting emails that said that I had to take it. It was a requirement. And you need to take it. It's like threatening me. So I thought, well,
IT
I've
does
been-
that
I think we
sometimes.
can
I've been
explain
threatened. I've been threatened lots of times, and so I'm not going to. I'll take the course. So I did. But anyway, thanks for the assurance that I didn't contaminate the whole county system.
I think we can, I'd like to leave this at the moment with the idea that maybe some sort of training comes down the pike in the future. But if that is the case, that Marcia, you would notify Marcia Alley, you would notify us in a really clear way that this is a separate new initiative, and really lay it out so that it's separate from the things that happened before. And then if IT wants us to do it, we'll do it. I mean, it's not, we just present it in a way that's clear to us that it's it's a requirement, and we'll get with the program.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. So thanks for clarifying that. It's been a bit confusing, and good to know. So with that, any other comments, questions about that? Okay, so what I want to do now is move into a closed session, which you can do for personnel matters. I guess let me get my, does anyone have any, do we want to talk about the process first, Marcia, just to make sure we're clear on, I mean, the point that I'm driving at, I'm getting ready to read something. I'm going to read something into the record, but then, and after I do that, I believe the instructions are, we'll just leave this meeting, just close it, leave it. And you are going to find an email at the top of your inbox that's going to invite you to another meeting. This is just for the members.
That
And
is correct.
one more thing I'm thinking about, just sort of the mechanics of this. I expect, what I would like to do is set a time when we reconvene the open meeting, maybe give ourselves 10 minutes to talk about this. Do people think that's enough time or reasonable amount of time? Less, more, 10 minutes is okay, I'm seeing heads bobbing up and down. Okay, so we'll call the time when we're going to reconvene. This might be a little break. We may have to like speed it up to make the time, but that's what we're going to do. So clearer about that? I'm going to say yes. So we're going to leave this meeting in a minute and come back into an executive session. And with that, I'm going to make a motion here. I move that the Albemarle County Board of Zoning Appeals go into a closed meeting pursuant to section 2.2-3711 parentheses A of the Code of Virginia under subsection 1 to discuss employment of legal counsel for the Board of Zoning Appeals. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, thank you. So that's seconded by Marcia. Marcia, will you call the roll?
Ms. Joseph,
Aye.
Mr. Rob,
Aye.
Mr. Carrington,
Aye.
Mr. Burkhart,
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd.
Aye. Okay, with that, so we're going to now leave this meeting and we will come back. It's now, we're going to come back at 2:45. Okay, that's 10 minutes from now. So I'll see the members in just a minute or two. And then
And let me interject that
yes.
Andy and Bart, you guys just sit tight in this meeting. This will be an ongoing meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep, we'll be back at 1:15. Okay, goodbye, and I'll see you all in a minute.
Andy, is there any protocol issues with getting started without the other member?
There's not a protocol issue as long as a roll call vote is taken to come back in to open session.
Okay.
And we would have a quorum for that.
That's correct.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead then, right? All right. I move that the Albemarle County Board of Zoning Appeals certify by a recorded vote that to the best of each member's knowledge, that only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act and identified in the motion authorizing the closed session were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed session. So is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, Marcia, could you call the roll?
I think Marcia's probably helping Mr. Rob, so I'll call the roll if that's okay.
That would be fine.
Mr. Carrington,
Aye.
Ms. Joseph,
Aye.
Mr. Rob,
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd.
Aye.
And the record should also reflect that Mr. Bankard is absent at this point.
Yes. Thank you.
Motion passes 4-0 with Mr. Burkhart absent.
Okay. No.
As in this lull, I'd just like to say I have about 5 more minutes. I've got a conflict that I was unable to move at 3. So I'm just going to step out 7 or 8 minutes.
Okay, thank you for letting us know
Apologize.
that, and that's okay. It's helped keep us on track. All right, so I want to announce that we agreed unanimously, including in our meeting with the vote from Kurt Burkhart, that we wish to.
Mr. Chair, if I might interrupt,
Yes.
any action that the BZA wishes to take should be made in open session. Votes are not allowed in closed session. Any action that the board wishes to take should be done by a vote in open session.
Okay, good. So we are now in open session. So I guess the 4 of us will proceed with that.
Okay.
Right.
Can I move that we approve this letter written July 7th, 2021 to James M. Bowling IV, Esquire. And the letter will confirm the terms of his legal representation of the Albemarle County Board of Zoning Appeals for the period of July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022.
Thank you.
There's a motion, so
Is there
A
a second? Seconded by Mr. Carrington. So Bart, could you call the roll?
I can. Miss Joseph,
Aye.
Mr. Carrington,
Aye.
Mr. Rob,
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd.
Aye.
The motion passes 4-0. Again, note that Mr. Burkhart is absent.
Okay, thank you. That's glad to have that done. Okay, and now final quick discussion about reopening the building, meeting protocols and all of that.
Currently, those are still under review. So to figure out how that's going to work, I know there are some benefits to both kind of access with folks from home when they're not able to get into the building. So the emergency management team is looking at how to make that transition. If we're going to go back to what we'll call the old way, or stick with the new way, or some hybrid in between. So we will keep you posted. Also, if there's any emails we get regarding the subject, we will forward them to you to kind of keep you up to date and as real time as government can give out.
Do you have any sense of things that have been decided, not decided, sort of which way the wind is blowing? Anything along the lines of like maybe trying to find a hybrid system, want to get back to open meetings and ASAP, not so fast? Any sense of that?
More than likely it'll be sometime after September based on some of our scheduled building openings. I know the hybrid system kind of has been discussed. The difficulty is with public hearings. How would you schedule speakers and the order and some other things? Technologically, there's a little bit of challenge there in kind of doing that dance. Not that it's not possible, it's just new territory. So I'm not sure where we'll land on everything just yet. But again, there's probably more coming. It'd be more like a month or more before we would know something or even a direction we're trying to go.
Okay. Yes, Ed.
Just a question from a citizen, Bart.
Yes, sir.
Is there, I don't quite understand if you have, well, maybe this is part of the hybrid part, but there are certain meetings I would think that would not have that many people involved and so forth. Is there any possibility that selective meetings could be held in the building?
There's a possibility. So what we would want to do, though, from a protocol standpoint, is try and keep everything as similar as possible and not have special rules for special things. So probably items that have public hearings, we would want to keep in one set of protocols versus maybe a community meeting that might be easier access that doesn't have the same burden for recordation and different things. So it would just depend. I don't know for sure how we would handle it either way.
Are you a part of the decision-making process related to the subject?
I am not. Although they may ask me for input.
Okay, okay,
I am not officially on the team. Our director of community development is, so she's aware of kind of our situation. And, you know, we also have the PC and we present at the board. So, you know, we're in tune to the whole public hearing thing throughout all our divisions.
no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Bart.
Yes, sir.
Anything else? Well, we're bringing it, I think we're going to land with 30 seconds to spare for you.
Much appreciated.
Yeah. Any further comments, questions, concerns, or motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
And I'll second.
All right, all in favor signify by raising your hand. Thank you very much. This was an easy,
4-0 vote for adjournment.
yes.